Hey everybody, and thanks for watching Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to use the fusion technique, which takes multiple small seedlings and you plant them in a circle, and then somewhere 7, 8, maybe even 10 or more inches above the soil, you tie them all together. So we've got two different groups. I've got this little group of seedlings here and this group of seedlings here. So I mean, they're way too far apart, but basically the thought is to do something like that. So what happens is you take a bunch of small seedlings and you end up with one tree with a much thicker trunk. So you're sort of trading numbers for thickness. Now I could grow all these guys individually, and by the time they're 2 inches across, that could be 2 or 3 more years. So doing the fusion technique, you're going to get a trunk that's probably pretty close to 1.5 to 2 inches around almost immediately. And it will probably still take at least another year for them to all fuse together. And sometimes if you watch other videos on the fusion technique, they use 100 seedlings or more. And they also use some kind of wire mesh to tie the seedlings together. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to basically just what I did. I'm just going to grab them together, and I'm going to use some grafting tape that sticks to itself. And I'm planning on starting with this group here, and then if I need more, I'm going to go here. So I've got two pots. I've got a 10-inch bulb pan and an 8-inch bulb pan, and I'm not quite sure what size it's going to need. I have the feeling I'm going to be going with a 10-inch. It really all depends on how much roots come with these guys. And you can see one of them is much taller. We have a couple much smaller, but I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal. This really small one may not be tall enough to even get into the fusion, but we'll see. And it's also, you know, the middle of August, so this is not the perfect time probably to do this, but I want this pot back. This is good perlite potting rooting mix, so I want the pot back. Actually, this pot was part of the video that I did on my bald cypress when I cut off all the old thick limbs. I decided I'd try to make cuttings, so they were all in the center, and as you can see, none of them survived. But as an aside, I stuck some seed around the perimeter, and they all did survive. So I want this tray back. So I thought, well, you know, I'm going to try the fusion technique. So I'm going to move over to my potting tray. I've got the potting soil already mixed and ready to go. And then what we'll do is just individually pull these guys out, see what kind of roots we've got. And I really think I'm leaning towards the 10-inch pot. I think the 8-inch is just going to be too small. But we'll see. So put the camera on the tripod and take it over to the potting tray. I'm all set. I put some soil in both pots, and I've got my grafting tape which sticks to itself. And then the seedlings are sort of, are they even in the camera frame? Yeah, they are. So I'm going to start with the first one. It should be fairly easy to pull these out of here. And that's a pretty good bit of roots. So I think a 10-inch it is. But I'm going to do my very best to get these guys back into the soil without the roots being exposed as much as I can, as quickly as I can, which is what I meant to say. This guy is actually bent, so he'll be perfect. Put him so the bend is on the inside. Another one. And this is the largest one here. It also has a lot of roots. There's no way this would have fit into an 8-inch. And one more. And I'm not going to prune any of the roots because you just don't do that in the middle of summer with bald cypress. They just won't be happy at all. So there we go. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to try to get them as close to being equidistant as I can. The little runt is there. So there we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, we should have equal odd numbers, but I don't think it's really going to matter with this technique. I'm going to add more soil. And I want to do this fairly quickly because I don't want the exposed roots to dry out. And this actually may not be as many trees as you really need for it to really fuse really quickly. But the space in between here, I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal. Okay, now I'm going to go to about right there. So I'm going to need to take all the leaves off of each tree in that same general area. So that the trunks will be much closer together and the leaves won't be in the way. So there and there and there and here and there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So there you go. So now let's get the grafting tape, which I need to cut. Oh, I've got my scissors. Had to go get them. So cut chunk off, wrap it around, try to make sure that all the seedlings are pretty close to being equal. And I want to try to get this tape as tight as I can. Alright, there you go. Now, I'm focusing on the bottom, so if we look at the top, you can see a couple of them are like shooting. One's shooting the one way and one's shooting the other. I think I'll move back to my display table now that the potting is finished. So turn off the camera. So as you can see, a couple of the largest ones are moving away from each other. So I'm going to take some more grafting tape, angle the camera up a little more. And I don't think this is going to need to be as tight. And once again, this is the first I've done this, so I'm learning it. Okay, let's just do that. Nah, we got to take the leaves off. Now if I'm doing it up here and I've got it here, is it going to fuse all the way up and down? I'm hoping this is all one giant experiment for me too. But if you subscribe to my channel, every time I do an update on this guy, you'll be able to see just how it's progressing. I say this guy. Maybe I should say these guys? I don't know. Okay, try to get it as tight around as I can. Okay, there we go. Now, it's not straight up and down, so I'm going to bend it a little bit. Okay, let's take the leaves that fell onto the soil. So there we go, my very first attempt at the fusion technique using bald cypress. And let's take the camera back down. So we now have a trunk that once these guys all fuse together, which probably will still be a couple of years, I don't really know, I'm going to have a trunk that's at least 2 inches at the base, and it will have that buttress just like what bald cypress do in nature. And I think that it will fuse all the way up and down. I suppose if I see that it isn't, I could always add another piece of tape right here. Because we've got one here and we've got one here, so add another piece of tape here. And at this point, I'm not even going to mess with the top. I'm just going to let them continue to grow. Most of my bald cypress seedlings have gone into sort of a dormancy because it's just so hot. But I have the feeling that now that these guys have been removed from the other container, and I will give them some fertilizer, and of course immediately as soon as we're off camera here, I'm going to water them in very thoroughly and keep them very well watered, because bald cypress are a very thirsty tree. So there you go, the fusion technique, my first try at it. If you've tried it and maybe you even have some success, please give me some feedback in the comments. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Help the algorithm send me to more people. And when you subscribe, you'll be able to watch this guy continue to develop, as all my trees. I plan on trying to keep you up to date on all the trees that I'm taking videos of. And I think I said in another video just recently, I've barely scratched the surface of the stuff I've got. And I don't really see that as a problem. I love bonsai and I have the room, so I grow a lot of stuff. So please subscribe, like, leave a comment if you'd like, and we'll see how this guy does. Fusion technique on bald cypress. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.